everyone, welcome to another CIM Sessions with the Catalina Museum for Art and History. My name is Gail and I am the Deputy Director of External Affairs here at the museum. Each Friday we come to you live either on Instagram or Facebook to bring you and introduce you into the life of many of the people that we work with every day. We're so lucky that we get to have people like historians and musicians and artists that we get to work with. It might be related, these sessions might be related to like our history exhibitions or a special exhibition or an event or anything like that. And so this week I'm so excited to have silent film historian, author and attorney John Bengtson to join me here for a quick conversation. John was, I invited him in here, but John was here just over this last weekend to join us for Silent Film Weekend. Hi, John. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. I feel greatly relieved.
Yes,
that
you're here.
This worked out.
Yes. We did a little bit of practicing earlier this week to make sure that we could get you here live with me, and I'm so glad that we figured it out. And I was just telling everyone watching that, you know, you were just here over this past weekend. The museum held its 35th annual silent film showcase, and we were lucky enough to have you come down and from San Francisco to the island to be able to join us for our Friday evening opening night, which was a screening of Sherlock Jr. with Buster Keaton, and you gave us a great bit of information about him and his filming all around LA. And then also on Saturday for our big main event, we showed Blood and Sand, and you were able to give us some great information about Blood and Sand and Valentino. So before we get into all of that, why don't you, I mentioned that you were an author and silent film historian and things like that. Why don't you just give everyone just a little quick background of yourself?
Well, like I said, I'm a business lawyer and an author, and for some reason, I love vintage photographs. I love the time travel aspect of vintage photographs, and silent movies are like that, but they're frozen moments of time. So people are literally walking around, and somehow I just find that fascinating. So when you watch a silent movie, you're not only being entertained by the story, but you're experiencing time travel. You can see what Los Angeles looked like 100 years ago. And for some reason, I always found that fascinating. And so I've been looking, that's what my books are about, is that they use the background of silent films as sort of an inadvertent documentary record of what Los Angeles looked like 100 years ago. And it's been a lot of fun. There were some wonderful streets in Los Angeles that literally no longer exist. They were, you know, covered by freeways or bulldozed or whatever. And the only photographic record I could ever find of these streets are in the background of some movies. And then I will maybe talk about this more, but one of the most profoundly gratifying experiences for me, it took several years, but I was able to determine that Charlie Chaplin filmed scenes from The Kid at the same alley where Buster Keaton filmed scenes from Cops and where Harold Lloyd filmed scenes from Safety Last. So for each of those comedians, that was one of their greatest landmark films. Each of those films has been inducted into the National Film Registry of the Library of Congress. And they were all filmed at the same alley. So just this last fall, working with Hollywood Heritage, we installed a plaque honoring this Chaplin Keaton Lloyd alley. And I know I've been doing this research for 25 years, but I never thought we'd be putting a plaque up on the wall. And I also never thought I'd be talking on my phone to you, Gail, and Catalina.
Well, you know, you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Well, it is amazing. Yeah, it is amazing that people in Southern California maybe even go around those same neighborhoods and stuff and just don't realize. And that was what the super cool part of your presentation that you gave to us last weekend really did demonstrate. It was like you showed these shots of like, today this is what it looks like and this is what it looked like then, and it's amazing. Some of the stuff looks close to the same. Some of it is completely different, but it just is so amazing.
Yeah, I don't know, I maybe lack the words to articulate it, but it really is, for me, it's a profound experience to stand somewhere and go, 108 years ago, Mary Pickford stood here, um, and and nobody knows it except me. And when you visit a location in person, um, and there's sort of a timeless quality to it. Um, you know that you share the same geographic coordinates as somebody did 100 years ago. And this sounds kind of odd too. When they made the movies, these locations weren't widely known. So at the time, the filmmaker, their cast and crew, they might be the only people to know about this particular street corner.
Mm-hmm.
And now I sort of feel like I've invited myself into their little community. These 12 people knew about this corner, and now I have joined their little club 100 years after the fact. So I really enjoy the way.
Yeah, and you're sharing.
I just enjoy the way you get a little insight into their thoughts. I mentioned during the presentation they gave about Sherlock Jr. There's just a random little shot of Buster looking through a shop window, but in the background was a building where he and Roscoe Arbuckle had made a movie 4 years earlier. So watching that scene, there's obviously no one would know about that, but I know that when Buster filmed that scene, I know what was going on in his mind. He was visiting familiar territory where he made a movie with his best friend, and there he was filming a simple little shot looking through a window. And that's what I find really gratifying. Somehow I have this connection with them 100 years later.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know how you found some of the details that you did to line up with between different movies to show. I mean, sometimes it's just a rooftop corner or, amazing. I'm not sure how much time that actually took to do that over all these 25 years, but you could tell that, of course, it makes sense that, Buster Keaton, if he remembered that shop window maybe and was like, "Ooh, that would be perfect for now this movie that I'm doing." That makes sense. But it's amazing that you're making those connections. Now, you have 3 books about silent films, correct?
Yes. The Silent Echoes about Buster Keaton, just Silent Echoes discovering early Hollywood through the films of Buster Keaton, Silent Traces discovering early Hollywood through the films of Charlie Chaplin, and Silent Visions discovering early Hollywood and New York through the films of Harold Lloyd. And the Harold Lloyd book was especially fun because I got to do 100 pages about New York. And Harold Lloyd's movie Speedy took great advantage of New York as a location. He didn't just film at the classic tourist spots. He filmed all over New York and Brooklyn and the Bronx and whatever. But the other fun thing about that movie is that he shamelessly would intercut scenes from New York and Los Angeles back and forth, back and forth. And again, I don't know if the audience was supposed to pick up on that, but I did. And it's just sort of a testament to their skill as filmmakers. They could match scenes filmed 3,000 miles apart, and we're not supposed to know.
Right. Right. Oh, the mastery. And they really were masters. I know Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd specifically did a lot of amazing camera techniques and stunts and things like that that either hadn't been done yet or they've been replicated since, right?
Yes, by the 1920s, the filmmaking was highly sophisticated, and all the techniques and whatever that we're familiar with, those were all developed at the time. And I always encourage people watch a silent movie. They're very entertaining. The later years, they're very well made. One thing that I don't think people appreciate is that when you watch a silent movie, you have to participate. There's a part of your brain that's accustomed to hearing the dialogue, and that's not working. So you have to join in the process and imagine their voices as you watch the film, and that draws you in. You can't look at a silent movie and your smartphone at the same time. But by being drawn into the film and being more captivated by it, it really makes it a richer more rewarding experience. They were wonderful then, they're wonderful now. The fact that they're old doesn't mean they aren't any less wonderful and entertaining.
Exactly. And I think younger folks who have never seen, or even other people who haven't seen some of these silent films, may be super surprised to realize that a lot of current filmmakers that have been inspired by films for their whole lives mimic or use some of the same techniques or the same things that a lot of these guys did, like Buster Keaton and stuff like that, and then they do their own version in more of a current movie. And I know since I've been getting involved with silent films, since I've been with the museum for quite a while now, I've noticed those things and picked that up, and it is fascinating because if you don't know that history, you don't know how that is inspiring this current scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they were wonderful films, and someone said it better, but you have to know where you came from to know where you are, and yeah, so they clearly laid the foundation on which modern film is built, and
yeah. So of the three, Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin, and Buster Keaton, do you have a favorite?
Well, I don't have the perfect answer for that, but I like to say it's kind of like having to choose between pizza, chocolate cake, and puppies. I mean, and it's not a perfect analogy because obviously we don't eat puppies, but pizza, chocolate cake, or puppies, because they're all wonderful, they're all different, and they're all wonderful in their unique ways.
Mm-hmm. And
to me, the answer is not picking one over the other, but celebrating that we have three. We don't have one, we have three. I personally, I think personally, I relate to Buster Keaton's films the best. I know sitting in a large audience that Harold Lloyd's movies get more laughs than anybody. It's just, they're just so well produced and constructed.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some moments with Charlie Chaplin that aren't necessarily funny, but he has created, some of the most profound, meaningful motion picture experiences. So they're all just uniquely incredible and wonderful.
Yeah, I have to agree that they are the top three in my book as well. I'm partial to Buster Keaton myself. So you are also, I don't know how you have all this time to do all this research and writing and all the things, but you're also sit on the board of the San Francisco Silent Film Festival, correct?
That's correct.
How long have you been with them?
I think about 8 years.
Okay. And that's one of the best, silent film festivals around, right? I mean, I of course, ours is amazing, and we love it.
Yes,
but the San Francisco version is like many days and so many screenings.
Right. Well, we celebrated our 25th anniversary, and I will note that the Avalon, you had your 35th anniversary.
Yes.
So you've got that hands down. Yes, they just had their, they were shut down for a couple of years, but they just had their 25th celebration a week ago. And because it had been building up, they ran it for usually it's a 3 or 4 day weekend, but this time it was for a full 7 days.
Oh, wow.
And, they brought in the Mont Alto Motion Picture Orchestra and other musicians, Dr. Philip Carley. Yeah, it's really, and it's held in the Castro Theater. The theater was built in 1922. It opened, it's going to have its 100th anniversary in another week or two, but it opened like in June 1922. And so the experience of watching, a beautifully restored silent film in a giant theater with live music, it's really a profound experience.
Yeah, I think that's what I forever am when I'm promoting our silent film showcases, silent films are not silent. And of course, I know Michael Mortilla, our amazing pianist and composer, is actually watching this right now. And he and his whole group of musicians, they just turn this experience into something like none other. And if you've never experienced a silent film, I would say you would agree with me wholeheartedly. Go and seek one out, that, and especially one with live musical accompaniment, because it's just an experience that at the very least you have to do once.
Absolutely. And Michael and I don't remember the names of the other musicians, but there were a total of 6 musicians accompanying Blood and Sand at the casino last week. And it was just wonderful. The music was beautiful and compelling, and it perfectly, accentuated and made the film that much more relatable and emotional. But to hear live music, it's a collaborative process. The film and the audience and the musicians work together to create this unique experience. And I don't want to get, this is going to sound a little bit morbid, but one thing, if you watch several silent films in a row, for me, it almost gets a little bittersweet, because you realize everybody up on the screen, the director, the screenwriter, even the little kids, everybody you see, they all live their lives. They're not around anymore. So you really feel a connection, a bond with another life and time. These people, they left behind these, shimmering images on the screen, and we're sharing it with them, but they're no longer here with us.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. And Michael is happy to say that the other musicians with him were Jay, Nicole, Simone, Brandon, and Maxim, and they were all amazing. And they actually are all amazing because they all, including Michael, do some amazing projects outside of ours. They're working with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. They're, Nicole is a musician that travels. She's entertained or performed with like Eminem and Lady Gaga, and like all of them do a lot of like work with the Emmys and the Grammys, and they're all into so many cool things, and we're so thrilled that we get to have them for just a period of time with us on the island. And so that's also a favorite of ours. Another with the silent films, though, I think in general, and you had mentioned earlier that you are more invested, you're more connected to the film. I love about silent films, and maybe you do too, that the villain comes out and reveals himself, and there's some like hisses or amongst the crowd, or there might be cheering or clapping for the hero and that kind of thing, which doesn't seem like it happens in a lot of other movie experiences today.
Michael has on his website, he recorded, it was, I think he was accompanying Safety Last at Santa Barbara. I forget the name of the venue, but he recorded him playing the music, but you can hear the audience screaming in the background. And sometimes if I'm feeling a little low, it's like a 12-minute audio track. But sometimes I'll just listen to it, and you can just hear the roar, the wave of laughter after laughter after laughter. And I guarantee you, I enjoy comedies. I've seen, current comedies. I cannot recall ever seeing a comedy made in the last 20 years where the audience just roared with laughter after laughter after laughter, the way they did during Harold Lloyd's Safety Last. Michael says it was the Granada Theater in Santa Barbara.
Yes.
But it's just, like I said, the audience is involved. You have to pay attention when you're watching a silent film. But they were just so well made and so clever. And you don't experience a modern audience reacting that way to a modern film.
Right. I agree. Well, our time goes by so fast with these, and so our time is already up. But where, if somebody wanted to pick up your books, where would they find those?
Well, they're on Amazon. But if you can remember, my website is silentlocations.com. It's about silent movie locations, so silentlocations.com.
Awesome. Well, I hope that everyone runs out and buys your books. I know I am going to, because I want to read more about them and learn more things all the time. And I couldn't be more thrilled that you were here with us last weekend and that you could join me today. And we'll definitely stay in touch, and maybe we'll be able to work together again for another silent film showcase.
That'd be wonderful. Last weekend was a highlight of my life. It was such a wonderful experience. Thank you so much.
Oh, we're so thrilled. Well, and to everyone out here, out in the world, thank you so much for watching us. And we'll be back next Friday with another CIM Sessions and a new guest. Have a great weekend. Thanks. Bye, John.
Bye.